Alright, so today I was asked to talk about what a catalyst leader is, and I was told I would only have 15 minutes to do this. And that 15 minutes for a very complex topic could be quite challenging. But I remember there's this concept called the leadership loop. Everybody knows Simon Sinek? Yeah? Alright, Simon Sinek talked about the core idea that if you want to understand the kind of leader you are, you should know, show, and inspire. The knowing means you have to come back with your values, how you grew up, your background, your stories, and then eventually showing yourself, which means you have to practice authenticity and vulnerability. Eventually, what's going to happen is you're inspiring others by leading with example and showing who you truly are. So if it's okay with you, in the next few minutes, for a very small crowd, can I be vulnerable with you and share a little bit about my life and my journey? And hopefully as I share them, I'll be able to explore together with you what it means to be a catalyst leader. Are you ready for my life? Yes! Alright, meet me, Cici. So that was me maybe 2 decades ago. I also want to say 10 kilos ago. They say in synchrony, as you stay longer, you feel so much love. You gain a little bit of weight. This is this version of feeling so much love that was before synchrony. My story is not that unique, and I'm sure a lot of us here can relate. I grew up poor. I remember when we were young, we were on this side of the railroad tracks. That's how I grew up. And then from a very young age, I understood what financial struggle meant. I was in grade school, I remember sleeping, not knowing if the next day we'll have food on the table. I remember when I was in high school, I was working non-stop. I remember being a nanny, I remember being a tutor, I remember working at the church, a catechist, a lector, name it. I've probably done a lot of jobs even before I went to college. The interesting part of all of that is that despite all that hustle, back then our ultimate goal is to hopefully, if we're lucky enough, to finish high school. The intention there is eventually so we can apply to be a factory worker. That was the dream, that was the belief, and we all thought that's pretty much it. That belief felt like a limit. It was a cage around my future, and in my mind, I feel like I can be more than that. And so every day, I did everything I can to get out of that cage. After finishing high school, I wanted to be able to go to college. And so I was very blessed and fortunate to pass a government scholarship, taking this engineering degree. However, frankly, it's not enough. I still have to work while studying. So yes, I worked at McDonald's. So that was me as a crew, a cashier, a party host. I remember sending out sharing pamphlets on the streets. And believe it or not, on some days, I was Birdie, the mascot of McDonald's. In case you didn't know, there's a mascot that's named Birdie. I know my life limits should not be and cannot define the future I aspire. There's no I can't and I'm stuck. It's always how can I, and I can do it no matter what. That belief was a light, and it challenged me, my mindset, and opened a lot of doors to new possibilities. A catalyst leader transforms limiting beliefs into empowering ones. Beliefs, they drive behavior. What this means is that the stories we tell ourselves shape our actions, our choices, and ultimately, our outcomes. They say if we want to change our direction, we must first become aware of some beliefs that's holding us back, and then maybe change those stories. When you recognize a limiting belief, you have to challenge it, rewrite your inner narrative. As a catalyst leader, you do this work first on yourself. You examine the stories you tell your mind, and out loud, you want to ask this question. Is this belief helping me? Or is it holding me back? When you change your story, you change your direction. You have to shine that light inward, challenge your own limiting beliefs, and live empowered stories that inspire others to do the same. A catalyst leader is self-aware. There's a Harvard research that found that when a passionate leader walks into the room, the team's energy rises within just 120 seconds. Imagine if you're that leader, you go inside the room and you motivate everybody just within 120 seconds. That means your presence alone, your tone, your posture, your focus, it ignites others before you even say a word. That's the power of passion. It's contagious. But here's what most people miss. Passion without self-awareness, they burn fast and fade quickly. True passion, the kind that inspires others, comes from knowing yourself deeply. Self-awareness is what helps you recognize what fuels your energy and sometimes what drains that energy. It's what reminds you that your enthusiasm sometimes can turn into pressure. Or when your excitement is starting to blur your clarity. They say when you know your inner patterns, your triggers, your pace, your limits, you don't lose yourself to your passion. Now you use it and channel it. Think of yourself as the flame of a candle. If the flame burns too wildly, it burns you out, right? However, if it's too weak, it cannot light another candle. So when you understand how to protect and sustain your fire, what you want to do is you use that light, make it steady, but bright enough to guide others. I remember I once worked with a leader, I think we all know her, who radiated calm energy even in chaos. She wasn't the loudest voice, but she was the most grounded. Her self-awareness made her passion clear, and it's not chaotic, and that clarity now became contagious. Her team, they didn't follow her direction, they caught her belief. A catalyst leader leads from that space within. They know that the more aware they are of their emotions, values, and purpose, the more authentic their passion becomes. That authenticity now creates that ripple effect that fuels others' motivation and growth. Remember, the energy you're bringing into the room, your presence that sparks in others, you have to understand that first yourself. Your passion needs to be not just an emotion, it needs to be through influence. And that's how I think a catalyst leader lights the way. Catalyst leaders, they're guides, they're not heroes. I remember I once spoke with a manager and this manager said, "Cece, I'm tired. I feel like I'm carrying everyone in my team." You know what I asked? I asked, when do they get to carry themselves? Leadership sometimes tricks us that if you're helping someone, you're doing things for them. That's good. But true empowerment means you helping them learn to do it themselves. A catalyst leader is not a hero, not the person who carries the weight of the team alone. Instead, they're guides. They're someone who lights the path so that others can find their own way. It's about shifting from rescuing others to empowering them. Think of a great teacher, the one who doesn't just simply gives answers, but the one who asks the right questions. That's what guides do, right? They spark discovery and growth rather than dependency. Being a catalyst leader means knowing when you have to step back and encourage ownership rather than just stepping in and taking control. Remember, heroes, they create dependency, but guides, they create lasting capacity. A catalyst leader is resilient. I remember my very first promotion as a trainer. I went home that day. I was overwhelmed and defeated without even saying a word. And you know, parents, they have instincts. They know I'm not doing okay. So I remember my dad asked me what was wrong. And the moment I opened up, I cried and I just said, I want to quit. Quitting is always the fastest way to get out of a problem, right? You know what he said? Never hesitated. He looked at me and he said, "Huwag kang susuko, tuloy mo lang." Which means, don't give up, just keep going. In every hard moment of my life, that was the simplest but most powerful reminder that quitting was never and can never be a choice. My dad showed me that resilience isn't something you're born with. It's actually something that you decide on every day. To keep moving, keep learning, keep growing despite the struggle. Even now that he's gone, that lesson stays with me. A catalyst leader models resilience not just when things are easy, but especially when challenges arise. You keep moving forward, keep showing up, even when it feels overwhelming. There's a study on grit that tells us that resilience quality often fuels long-term success, more than your talent. When leaders model resilience, they create an environment where challenges become opportunities and setbacks become lessons. Lastly, a catalyst leader is transformational. They don't just lead, they inspire change that ripples far beyond themselves. 15 years ago, I lost my mom. At that moment, it felt like someone had switched off that light in my world, and the days after that were dark and uncertain. Slowly I realized, though, that when my mom passed away, she passed that light on to me. She deeply believed that education was our greatest gift and our way out of hardship and into a brighter future, the path forward. That belief shaped my life. Over the years, I earned degrees along with multiple certifications in training. And honestly, now I work in training, so technically, that continuous learning and education remains central in my life. I believe wholeheartedly that there's always more to life, more to learn, and there's no real limits to what we can achieve. Education is an equalizer. 3 years ago, I took that belief forward and launched YES, Youth Empowerment Sessions. It's an aspiration. I always felt that what we do at work, we can actually do so much to support the community. The skills that we gain at work can contribute to be the catalyst and to have that driving purpose to help others. Our rallying cry in YES, walang imposible, sige lang sige, which means nothing is impossible, just get going. My dad's reminder to never give up no matter what, my mom's reminder to believe in the power of education that can change your life. YES was born out of a desire to support high school and college students in their ongoing learning journey, especially those that are fighting that cycle of poverty. We stand by the conviction education is a great equalizer, a tool that can help every young person to have the best life possible. Thanks to you, thanks to Synchrony, thanks to our value of caring, thanks to the many volunteers here in this room, employees, trainers, leaders, managers, our talent development team, passionate champions of education. Because of you, we're now on our 3rd year. Together, we have empowered hundreds of students to take control of their future, giving them opportunities they may not have had otherwise. What started in the Philippines is also now launched here in India through the many transformational leaders that we have here in this room. Let me introduce you to one of our students. Her name is Gina Gamboa. Gina's story is powerful and unfortunately familiar. Growing up at around 11 to 12 years old, she was told her path was made for her. After grade school, she's expected to start working to support her family. Many young people in Asia face that reality, and it's easy to accept that that is their fate. But Gina believed differently. She believed she deserved more. To support herself and continue schooling, Gina took on 6 to 8 jobs. She was a nanny, a gas operator, a vendor, and many more. Her determination fueled her through the hardest times. Now, she's 16 years old. She's a scholar at Pasarel Numeric, Synchrony's nonprofit organization partner. She's pursuing the associate degree in computer technology, majoring in software development. And guess what? She's been attending our weekend sessions in YES to continuously thrive. Gina's story would not have been possible if not for you, the leaders we have here in this room that are transformational. We are all transformational. Catalyst leaders, I believe they don't keep light to themselves, they multiply that light. They invest in others, they nurture knowledge and opportunity, and in doing so, they create that ripple effect that extends far beyond what they can immediately see. I think our roles as leaders is to set that right condition so when others grow, succeed, and eventually lead their own journey, eventually transforming growth into opportunities for everyone around them. We bring light to others, we create spark, and we help multiply that impact. So what is a catalyst leader? A catalyst leader transforms limiting beliefs into empowering ones. They're self-aware, they're guides, not heroes, they're resilient and transformational. We are leaders beyond our titles. So as you leave this room today, I want you to ask yourself, will you hold tightly to your own light shining alone, dimming the potential of those around you? Or will you be that catalyst, the leader who multiplies that light, igniting growth, opportunity, and hope in the people and places you touch? I think the power to transform starts with the story you choose to believe and the light you decide to share. Will you be the hero who shines alone or the catalyst that helps others find their own light? Thank you for listening, and may we all continue to be the light that catalyst leader.